So this painting really doesn't need that much more work, I believe. I'm not terribly fond of how this is, you know, at a right angle to these two trees. I'd like to loosen that up a little bit. Also, I'd like the whole thing. I kind of like the idea of having light catching these tree trunks, or these two anyway, and landing in the forest behind, you know. These are more of a silhouette, but I don't mind keeping the whole bottom of the painting fairly dark and cool. Now, I've gone in there with a lot of ultramarine blue, and you know, if there's a lot of fall colors on the trees, then the ground cover would also be somewhat in the same nature, right? Fall colors. So I think what I'm going to need to do is go more towards a purple, a deep purple, because yeah, if you have yellow and orange colors that are out of the sun, completely in the shade, they will go a warmer purple. You won't see a whole lot of blue like that, at least not a mass of it. But let's first work on trying to make this a little more interesting. I'm not sure what to do. You know, maybe there's a dead branch on the ground or something. Or maybe not, I don't know. Let's just call it a form. It's a form of some sort. So I'm using my rescue brush to straighten out some of my silliness here. I don't mind this little stick sticking up. Don't mind that at all. And these things are just nondescript things that you'll find on the ground, on the forest floor. All very plausible. So no problem with that. I'm just mixing up some raw umber and ultramarine blue to straighten that out. Also, let's do that just to take away that straight line, eh? Just put a little bit of interest in here and there. Yeah, I'm going to remove that as well, because as I said, we're putting in forms. We're not worried. We don't have to explain everything. It's this is the beauty of Impressionism. Anybody who sees it will say, "Oh yeah, that could be this or this could be that." You know, I'm not painting buildings or people or animals. Okay. So what do we do here? No, I don't want to go down to the left. I think I'd rather go down to the right. Something like that. You know, also, I don't think I want those trees in the foreground. I still would like them pushed behind this little sort of rise that's going on there, you know? Yeah, it sure is nicer working in wet paint with a knife than it is working over dry textured paint. But that's okay, we'll figure it out. It's not that big a deal, really. It's a nuisance, I think, is probably a reasonable term for that. Okay, let's just grab the knife and put a few colors in there. Okay, and it is going to be, we're going to go back to ultramarine blue and alizarin crimson, and for the moment, just a bit of white. I may add a little yellow ochre to that mixture, just to warm up the foreground colors a little bit, you know, just in a few spots too, not a whole lot. But let's see, it's a lot redder. That's actually a little darker than I would like. Yeah, I'm going to put a little yellow ochre in there right now, and a little more alizarin crimson. There. I don't want it overbearing, but I kind of like to have it a little bit warmer back there. Just a little bit. And of course I'm sitting right next to it, so or right in front of it, so my temptation is to continue to play with details. Whoop, that white was a bit harsh. And I need to avoid that, you know. And I need to avoid making sure that I cover every square centimeter of it, because that doesn't look so good either. Okay, a little bit of yellow ochre into it. You know, it's picking up on some of the light behind it. Okay, come on. Doesn't always take the way you want it to. Okay. I can live with that. Stop playing, Phil. Stop playing. Excuse me. Now, what shall we do? I'm going to make this band a little more monolithic. I don't like this light and then to the blue and what have you. So, but I don't want to go with the same color as I have here. I would still like to have the forest stepping up to this spot, stepping closer to this spot. And this will be truly more dark than this. That's the plan anyway. Okay. We're going to go back to ultramarine blue now, because we can afford to go a little bit bluer. Going to leave the yellow ochre out of it because we want it colder. Yeah, I think that's about the right amount of difference for those two areas. You know, you have so little foreground here. You know, we're completely violating the rule of thirds, horizontal or vertically on this. So I just wanted to have a gradual takedown in values as we get to the bottom of the painting, rather than having all kinds of light and then down here, boom, and then just a sliver of dark. You know, the trees help on the left-hand side, and the bottom of these trunks help a little on the right-hand side. But I still want to make sure that I keep it toned down. think what I'll do is add just a hint of raw umber to that too, so our chroma stays low. An interesting idea that you're really painting. The purpose of what I'm doing now is dumbing down part of the painting. You know, when you're trying to do a colorful painting, yeah, the temptation is to make everything as colorful as possible. But if you do that, you end up with a painting that is colorful everywhere. And if you don't have contrasts between high chroma and low chroma, high value and low value, then how do you measure? You know, what makes the highlights stand out if the whole painting's full of highlights? You know, your dark areas serve as a benchmark, as a reference point. And you want to allow them to do that. Okay. Whoops, that's a bit light. You know what? I have to squeeze a little bit more. Oh, where are you? There you are. Excuse my voice, please. A little more raw umber onto my palette here because I want to kill that foreground on the left-hand side. Murder, she wrote. Excuse me. Oh, excuse me. Okay, that's too flat. Let's give it a bit of color variation. Now we're keeping the red out of it. We're just adding some blue and raw umber, and that's it. You know, allowing some of what's underneath it to show through, but not much, not much. See, I think that's okay. A little bit of variety, not too much. That's still not enough variety. A little more. I don't want it completely dead. The overmixing happens so easily now. That's heading in the right direction at least. So this looks a little flat to me, but you know what it does? It allows me a bit of a blank slate to put a signature in. So the signature can play a role in what you're painting. I mean, that's not something you want to count on, but it can be a convenient truth. Okay, we'll just leave that. It's got an awfully thick line, but Actually, okay, let's get rid of that thick line. I don't like a thick line like that. Not in this painting. Just need to break it up a little bit. That's enough. Stop it. Okay, a little darker here for a second. Still just, it's just too much of a line. I just don't want that there. Putting in a little bit of ultramarine blue and a bit of raw sienna, or burnt sienna, sorry. Of course, I'm also doing all this without backing up even for a second, which is really dumb. But I keep thinking to myself, oh, 2 more strokes and it'll be finished. And, you know, patience is a virtue, one that I'm afraid I'm not well endowed with. Yeah, see, we already have this very interesting background, very loose. I don't want to tighten the background up too much. Come to the foreground and it's tightened up a little bit. So we'll see. I'm just going to let that sit for a minute. I'm just going to go ahead and back up. So now we have the fairly strong purple here, you know, and this is cooler, less important. I'm happy with that. But I'd like to take some of this, because there is this band of mauve, you know, purple, at such a small sliver on the bottom. I think it's going to be necessary for me to introduce some of these colors up into the painting as well. So sort of pick this color, raise the value a little bit, and let's try to introduce it in another place on the painting. It doesn't, you know, it doesn't have to be in the middle. It can just be somewhere. I like to repeat my colors in different areas of a painting often. It helps to sort of unify the whole view, I guess you might say. So as subtle as that is, it already brings the top part in tune more with the bottom part. Okay. Now let's see. I'd like to. We have a bit of blue showing here, more of the bluish. What happens if we? That's still too red. Okay, I like that. That's good. That works out okay. A bit of variety. Takes away from the harshness of the trunks. Rather than having these dark trunks against lighter background, it just sort of blends. It mutes. It mutes a little bit, and I think in this case, there's no harm in doing a bit of that, you know? I want to try to minimize the strokes that I put. That I put up into this area, because seeing as I'm painting knife strokes over old knife strokes, it'll easily end up weakening the top. And it's inevitable, it's going to happen anyway, but okay, so that feathers these purples into the more colorful bush behind. It's repeated a little bit up here. Okay, that may just be enough to do it. I may just play with a little bit of quinacridone magenta, which is really strong. Let me just, as a test, maybe just find a spot to touch the painting with it. Okay, I have the reds flowing and the yellows flowing. I get the feeling it might be a little much. On the other hand, that's too low a value. On the other hand, there may be a benefit to it. And it may be, the benefit may lie in just tiny sparkles like this. You know, not broad strokes. Not broad strokes at all. Just hints of it here and there. Okay, I'm going to add a little yellow ochre to that because that's kind of a killer color. It's the kind of color that you really want to have some other, in this painting, you want to have some other colors that are related to it nearby. So that's why that works well in this area, but that might be a bit harsh right there. In fact, I'm believing that it is. So I'm going to scrape that. And give it a quick wipe. A little bit of remnants behind, that's fine, you know. The more color, the richer. See, no, I can't put in strong. I'd like these strokes to be stronger, but I can't because I'm going over bumps of what has already been painted. So that's why, you know, towards the bottom and around the edges, I'm not too worried about it. But I'd like very much to keep this center area strong. Now I have what's, you know, kind of developing into a small tree poking up here with kind of an interesting shape to the foliage. So rather than adding too much more to it, I'd like to develop it with only a couple of strokes, and I'd rather err on the side of it being too impressionistic than being too realistic. Let's see what I can do about that. Maybe not a lot, I'm not sure. It is a little bit to the right, the bulk of it is to the right of center, which I like. I don't want that crossing the center line too much. That might be getting a bit too bright. Let's take a bit of orange and actually a little bit of alizarin crimson mixed into it as well. Now, just a spot there, bit of strength there. A little dab there, a little dab there. Just trying to keep it in motion. Somewhat interesting, but not too crazy. Okay, this is a little bit confused, this red area down here as well. So I'm going to need to do a bit of work there, but I'm not going to worry about it just yet. This too, I don't like that stroke. And sometimes it is just one stroke, you know, and you can reshape it a little bit and it can make all the difference. You can very clearly see that this red is over the yellow behind it. I want to bring that higher value in front of that red a little bit. Yeah, see it? Dot, 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 dot. I'm already losing it. I'm already losing it. I'm getting too fussy about those things. Wipe, wipe, wipe. Yeah, let's take a little more ultramarine blue and a little more yellow ochre. And a hint of burnt sienna. And a little bit of white. And I'm not so concerned with changing the values as I am with helping this bush to appear in front of the other one, which means I have to lay some, that's too light, some harder lines. Sharp lines. You know what I mean. Hard lines are really an effective way of bringing things forward, making them appear to be closer to you. Just like in the last painting, you know, the sharper lines against the closer clouds makes all the difference. Bit of a bump in the middle. I'm not going to worry too much about it. Let's see here. I'm staying away from the edges of the paint that's on the painting already in those couple of strokes because I want that to disappear into the background. Yeah, that's awfully central. That's awfully central in that canvas. But, yeah, you know, I think if it's not pulled enough to the right, I think I'm going to pull it a little bit to the right. Just by matching some of these colors. And, doing this. Just show them over there somewhere. You know what I'm saying? Like we don't have We don't have a whole lot of highlighting here. This is kind of subdued. This is the intense spot. If we continue that theme on the right hand side of the painting, it tends to pull it over a little bit. Anyway, I may have a shot of sky. I don't know, maybe not. I'm really not sure yet. But you know, for the time being, I think I'm going to leave it. I'm still being kind of lazy at the moment. But I did want to get this video out just to show some progress on this for today. I'll probably get into it a little bit later in the day as well. If I do, then I'll put that video up on Sunday. Until then, talk to you soon. Actually, I should probably do this quickly. Okay. See? Crazy? And sane. And crazy? And sane. Thanks for watching.